Good afternoon, traders. Welcome to OptionsTender. It's Tuesday, April 1st, 2025. There's going to be no April Fools on this channel. So what you see is what you get, okay? We're going to take a look at SPX, all of our daily indicators. We're going to go down to 65. Check out those indicators. Each and every day we do this analysis. If you're new here, go down to that bottom right corner, hit that OptionsTender logo, and subscribe. Don't forget to like the video. Thank you for all the support. And make sure you stick around to the end of this video. You can play it at 1.25 or 1.5 speed because we're going to visit Bitcoin and MJ also, just to give a market update. I want to start off today talking about breadth. We're getting a little bit, I'll tag a video if you're not familiar with market breadth, or at least some of these indicators here. I'll tag that video right up top so you can click on that when you're done with this one. So we look at ADD, intraday. Pat is usually our guy in the Discord that updates us on ADD. So thank you, Pat. And so it's actually looking not too bad. It was up to 900 today. So breadth is getting better on this turnaround here. And we also, when I look at on the overall picture for the S&P, is this ADSPD. And now there's other ways you can look at this too. These aren't the only ones, but I have quite a few of them up here. In this one, it's just a choppy day. We're oscillating around the zero zone. Okay, so typically your trend days are around 300 plus or 300 minus. Depending on what you're looking at, it can go all the way up to 400 or so, and hey, 500, the S&P 500, right? You don't see that very often. And another way to look at things, not to get off too much on a tangent, if you're using Thinkorswim, you can go to the Market Watch tab and then change your watch list to the SP 100. Would give you a little bit more of a look at the bigger S&P stocks, so, and what they're doing. And what's this guy doing? Oh, that's Tesla. Yep. I guess it's pretty obvious here. Big green day, and these are part of our indicators. That's why it's so important that I update on tech, big tech, because they have such an influence and order flow on the market. So let's jump into it. We have the daily time frame on the SPX. We have this chop zone here. That's what made up our support zone. I know that price is just zipping back around it, and that's creating a volume node here as price goes sideways too. So that does happen when you have these important levels. At one point they can be resistance or support, and then at others you have a trading zone that goes right around through it, and it creates a volume node. Okay, so there's a video on everything. I have a video on volume as well, and volume indicators. So make sure you check out my tutorial. Description is below for the link is in the description for tutorials. Now this initial move down is our wave one. We'll go through that, but we're into support, and you see that we're in a consolidation now. It's a correction, and I believe it's in expanding flat, and that we'll see higher prices sooner than later. And today, there's a couple ways you can look at it. If you like to think about fundamentals and a storyline, I think we're waiting for the tariffs. If they're going to go through. Now it can be announced that they're canceled today. It could do it. It could do anything. We can go tomorrow, and maybe anything can be said. Maybe, maybe we're going to give them a little more time, or whatever the case is. That should be our catalyst to get this market moving again. But if you're just looking at technical analysis, we're in the chop zone. We're right in the middle of it. And you can see that if you get a little bit closer, from end to end is our bounce. So I don't suspect that this candle will move anywhere else unless the catalyst happens a day before. So that could happen overnight. We'll see. So let's start looking at some of these indicators, starting off with the moving averages. Now, here is another reason why price did not go higher than it did. It's not only that chop zone where you have resistance here, but you have the 8 EMA. And so that's where we're going to have to get price action over there. And when we look at the 65, what I think is happening is that the market is nesting. So you're getting a 1-2, 1-2 inside of here to where the market can finally resolve into a larger move, a breakout. And then at the end, you'll have sort of another consolidation nesting area that can end there. And then we're not going to talk about it right now, but just know that at the end of a move, if it's a big, you see how this was the nesting here? Yeah, the 1-2, 1-2, big red candle there, and then the market took off. Well, at the end, I just want to point this out real quick in that, you don't always get V shapes, okay? You get consolidations before breaking down too. So just keep that in mind as price goes higher. Now, so we have some work to do, both to break out from the channel and before we even can consider being, confirmation of a bullish move. And after that happens, both bulls and bears should be really on the same side, looking for this to bounce. Now, the bulls want it to continue higher. The bears want a reversal. And I think we're going to start getting into a lot of our short positions in this zone here. Other indicators. The McClellan oscillator. Super important for our analysis, okay? So we came down farther than I expected, but we got to that oversold zone, created positive divergence here, made a lower low in price action, made a higher low on the indicator, okay, in the oscillator. So I do expect for this to get extremely overbought before we get our reversal. Here's our OptionsTender setup. We have the MACD, RSI, and slow stoch. I use them in tandem when doing traditional technical analysis. We have our MACD bull cross. We came to back test. That's all that happened. I know that's a big B wave, but that's all that happened there. We didn't cross back over bearish. This is not going the other way. We need huge confirmation to see this fail and this to continue to go much, much lower. We're already in this like really oversold type area. So, okay, and the RSI was oversold as well. So we have this positive divergence that's got to cycle through. So we're looking for at least the zero line, probably a whipsaw above it before heading back down. Now, RSI, same thing. RSI has positive divergence here. Oops, I'm grabbing onto this thing. It has positive divergence. We're creating a trend line, just fixing that up there. Now we're creating a trend line, so we'll have this for later use if price starts to go that back and forth in this direction. And then, if we notice, we have a downtrend here as well. So we'll see what happens when price gets back into that downtrend. And then we'll probably get some sort of equilibrium. So we'll be watching this to see what happens. Will we break out, break down? RSI. And then we have our slow stochastic. We're starting to curl a little bit. So we want to see a buy signal there coming up. Probably if we have our green candle today, we'll get a crossover. So today or tomorrow, and that will give a much bigger move. You see how this is starting to make sense? When we get this crossover, now we have another buy signal on the slow stochastic, and the momentum, this is a much more sensitive oscillator. And then you have the tailwind with the momentum on the MACD. So they'll both be facing the same way. Price action should be heading a lot more like a direct to the upside at that point. Okay, let's take a look at the Demark, and we'll constantly look at this. You know, it's very rare we'll get these setups, but I want you to see how this plays out as price action happens. Okay, when you get your exhaust, so you have the 9-count exhaust, and then a failure, 9-count exhaust, consolidation, 9-count failure, 9-count failure. these do play out often. You have 913 here, actually. And so I want you to see how these constantly play out. And if you stick along with my channel, you can see how all of these indicators develop, and you don't have to use all of them. It's just I have all of them to show for you for confirmation on the analysis that I'm giving you. So here's the awesome oscillator. We have a positive divergence in that awesome oscillator, and that's where we're getting our bounce here. And I think this bounce will continue as a C wave higher. Now, if you're a bear, you want to see this reject off of where we are now and or the downtrend line. Money flow index. Oh yeah, that's on SPY. Let me close this up. Let's go to SPY. And we should be on there already. Yes, so there's our money flow index. With the down move here, we had another positive divergence. And again, this money flow index is really, really good at catching turns. Now, those turns don't always happen right away. So you have 1, 2, 3, a 3-peak negative divergence before you got the reversal, okay, on this one. But other ones, you'll probably be able to notice that they happen much quicker, more like a V shape or so. But yeah, so we had a positive divergence, a really small one. You had a really small one right here. So that's what gave us this bounce. Now you have a much larger one that's going to bring us up to further prices, and I think it's going to be at least 590. And I talked in yesterday's video, I gave you much more detail on why, like fundamentally why I think there's going to be buyers in here. And so make sure you check that out. It's super important because I'm not going to go back over that today. Just take, that was a 35-minute video that just took too much of your time. And I know your time is very important. So here again, we have our Bollinger Band. We had the buy signal right here because price action reached the bottom of that Bollinger Band. You see how it's getting tight? I like that. Contraction leads to expansion. And then we had an oversold condition here when it came down to the Bollinger Band. That's a buy signal. So changing boards. Here's your bearish rising wedge. We broke down from that. We're forming a bullish falling wedge. I'm looking for the breakout. Here's our time and price. We have something here at 4-1. I don't know if that's a top here today. It's not really a cluster, so sometimes these things don't really mean a whole lot. We have 4-3 here. Do we have a top going into 410? We have a 410 cluster. We'll see where price is when these happen. So when we're at extremes and you're into some sort of cluster, this is a beautiful one right here, then that's when you are looking for some sort of reversal. All right. And now here's our Elliott wave count. We have our impulse wave 1. A is in at the 382. An expanded B that made a new low, and then you have your snapback, rip your face off rally, C. Now, I know this doesn't look like a rip your face off rally intraday, but when this is all said and done, you're probably going to have 5, 6 green candles in a row that close green, okay? So, yeah, expect a rally to continue. All right. Last board here, and this is, again, I'll pin the bear market 2025 analysis, and this is the roadmap that we have in this. Again, we talked about this yesterday, what price should do, and so make sure you watch that video so you can see the roadmap of exactly what I think is happening. And I'll put that up there. That's at about 14 minutes and 30 seconds. Let's go to the cues. Okay, cues look the same. We have this bullish falling wedge. We're looking for a breakout. We have some targets up top. And I think at minimum, we try to break back into this zone here. And that brings us to about 512. SMH, well, look at that. Bullish falling wedge. I think we finally got a 5-wave look here. And so this could be a 1-2, 1-2 still, and that's expanded flat here, but it makes a lot more sense to me just right off the bat, just looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we should get a pretty sharp move here, maybe some sort of zigzag that has a B wave that's very shallow. We'll see how this resolves. IWM, this big zone here, you know, breaking through the zone, attempting to, but you have positive divergence, and breaking through a zone with positive divergence, it's just going to snap back and fake out bears. So was not confident in this continuing. Plus, we're still in this channel. I think we'll reach the top of the channel at minimum. If we do break out, then I think this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave move, and possibly get up to this 218 with a breakout. You see this support. Here's the example I was talking about. Here's a resistance, support, and then resistance again, and price started trading around it. All right, that's exactly what I was talking about. Still it's still a support resistance, but at this point it's called a bow and arrow. You see how you have the bow is the triangle, and the arrow would be the support resistance, and now there's a volume node that's in there. So if price got back up here, it's still going to act as resistance. Okay, this doesn't negate the support and resistance here. It actually makes it stronger. DIA, the diamonds, so kind of in an equilibrium right now. Same thing. I suspect that it'll get up here to the 433 or this downtrend line, depending on how long it takes for that price action. Here's another example. These are all over the place. So there's another example for you. Resistance, support, trade around, bow and arrow, support, resistance, volume node. VIX. Now the VIX rejecting off of that resistance here. I know it gapped up over here, but you see a big, well, this candle's green in this case, but your candle's probably red. I have it set this way. It's a reversal candle there. Same thing right here. And rejected off of it one more time. And so it's holding on to this 23 area. Let's put the moving averages, and you can see why it's stalling here, because technically the trend is up in this situation. So I'm looking for this to break and continue lower into possibly a new low. Perhaps maybe it only backtests the 200 moving average, because we're starting to build an uptrend. Okay, so that's possible too, but it's not unheard of when you have a channel just go from range to range, and not always in a straight line like this one. Clearly that was just a straight line. I was looking for that, it didn't, and so that's where we had trouble with price action breaking out here. We saw something was wrong, so we had to position ourselves again in the market, and so I'm looking for another reversal here to the downside. And there's cycles that match that as well. If you remember, I went over that with you, an individual analysis member. So, and that's a good point to say. We're doing this intraday at about 1:06 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you want to get these intraday, please consider supporting the channel by becoming a 99-cent member, a YouTube member. Now, if you want to support the channel on Patreon, wonderful. That you just, unfortunately, I can't. I can't give you permissions to get the early videos. YouTube isn't integrated like that with the two companies. So unfortunately, I can't give you the permissions on Patreon, but I do thank you all for supporting the channel. Let's go to SPY. And now in the 65, again, we'll go through these indicators. Look at that. So it looks pretty choppy there. It's a lot more smooth on the daily, but we have this choppiness. To me, this is starting to expand out here, and it's a 1-2, and you're starting to get a lesser degree 1-2, and this should start to play out a little bit more aggressive, especially when you have a catalyst. So no catalyst yet, and so the price is kind of setting up to make a move, and nobody knows if it's actually going to move higher or lower. We have to react to it. We're not in the breakout zone yet, so we have to be very careful. And I know somebody asked me in the Discord, am I hedging? No, I'm not hedging this time. I don't have heavy positions. You know, after the breakout, we could add on and such. But no, if you have a big position on this, yeah, protect your portfolio. Of course, I always recommend that. So we had the bear flag play out. We got a new low. Now we're looking for rip your face off rally up to our reversal zone here. There's the moving averages you see there. A McClellan oscillator. OptionsTender. Here's the look from this point of view. Okay, so here's our MACD. We got a bullish crossover today. That's a super important buy signal, because now we match the daily time frame, and again, this should start to build momentum, and price action should be a little bit more smooth to the upside. Now, once again, just like on the daily time frame, we could get maybe a bigger pullback, sure. And we already have the bull cross, so maybe that just backtests a little bit, and we head higher. Okay, nothing says that this can't, that maybe we formed the first wave impulse, and we have to get a bigger market structure set up for a 1-2 and head up higher. That's a possibility that we have to keep in mind. RSI, plus we had that bigger divergence there, positive divergence. RSI, not overbought yet. Just consolidating here. Again, we have some room if we want to go back to the 50, but we're holding on to that 50. We're in the bull zone. Price is getting a little bit stronger there. The slow stoke broke that downtrend. Same with RSI, broke that downtrend there. And we're looking for this to oscillate either sideways up top here or form some sort of pattern, maybe that some sort of rising pattern. Demark. Okay, here's our count we're getting right now. 6 count. Maybe we get a 9 count and then get that pullback I was talking about. We close that gap there. And NVIDIA, by the way, just closed its gap today in SMH. So those are starting to gain a little bit of momentum. And so maybe with the 9, we get some sort of pullback in this chop zone before we actually break out. So we'll see what happens with the market structure. Not a whole lot of positive structure there. So when you get those structures, just like this one seemed to just look very similar. Got an exhaustion, pullback, and worked its way as a B wave and went higher here. Okay, so something like that could happen too. But we're looking for a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 wave move. So this should be a little bit more impulsive than this 3 wave move here for the A wave. There's our zone up here, 590 to 600. Awesome oscillator. Had a sharp low there after being in bull territory. So we're looking to get back up here. And not only that, we're looking to make a large move into this bullish territory and probably work its way until it gets some sort of negative divergence and a large move like this. So we'll be looking for that. And then after that, we'll start scaling into our short positions while protecting to the upside, just in case price wants to make a new high. We don't know that. Nobody knows that. But that's not what we're looking for. Okay. Here's another look at the ABC structure here. And this is part of the analysis we did yesterday. There's a 62% retracement, but there's also an important 23% pullback. And I talked about that. So that's why this is such a good zone for reversal here. See a nice wick through it, but it held on to this zone here really important. So we have our 5-wave move down, A, B. We're looking for a wave C. So we did get a reversal on this time stamp here. Take that off. And do we get a near-term top here off of this one? Maybe. Oh no, that's past. Oh no, that's April 1st. I can't see that. Yeah, that's April 1st. So yeah, maybe today. Do we get a very short-term top? Possible. And then we have the second here. So let's see what happens on April 2nd. A little cluster there. April 4th, another cluster. So we'll keep an eye on that. Here's a C wave pointing out in this direction up to our zone. All right, that's it. Let's go ahead and zip through the cues. Now I don't want to forget to do MJ and Bitcoin. $65. Okay, you have your megaphone that's been in place for a while here. Actually, a fake break and a fake break. We're back in it. Here's kind of the look that we're looking for. There's the zone that we're looking for up top here. 510, 512, and the downtrend line, 518. SMH looks very similar, looks a lot more weak, but we'll see. We do have a possible channel up here too, so I doubt this will go as deep as the rest of the market because it's going to lead us to the downside if we are in a bear market. So a breakout from here probably leads us to a channel top, and we'll see what happens. It looks like 239 is a good zone for this to reverse off of. IWM. Same look here. I have the channel actually drawn in. So there's another channel that can be a little bit steeper if price wants to go higher than that. So kind of both looks there. You have the downtrend line where I have the channel here. We get through that, then we're looking at maybe 217. If you start breaking out from there, again, there's higher prices. You have the resistance here, 226, that bow and arrow. DIA. And the 65, there's a downtrend line, looking to break that out. And again, there's that channel that we drew up top there. So those prices can go to, I think we mentioned it in the daily already. It looks like that 433 would be a good spot. Right in this chop zone, 435 and 433. It's a zone. So right, the highs here, lows here, and this chop zone here, 435. All right. The VIX. Another look at the VIX here. You had the breakout. That was our early indicator that the market wanted to pull back. And it broke out further than expected. Not for no pun intended with the options expected move. And that's what gave us our deep drop there. It wanted to close this gap. Didn't quite close it all the way. So we got our reversal off of there. And I think this breaks down at least for a back test here. So that could create a higher low. Or if the market's going higher and pushing higher, it could close these gaps down lower into the 15-16 zone. All right, let's go to Bitcoin. Here's the Bitcoin futures. Do this on the daily time frame. And you have this support zone. You have this very important support zone. I had to draw it as a channel because price is very volatile with Bitcoin. Held on, and it gathered below and got back above. Okay, that happened a couple times. And so I wasn't sure if this was going to happen again, but it's holding on to so far. And so now you can actually draw yourself a downtrend line here. And we're in an equilibrium. It's not a true triangle, but you can see price actions getting tight in here. And I think this is going to break out to the upside. So there's two ways this could go. You could break down from the 81,000 level and then hold on to this support before heading higher, that would be a good fake break. That's kind of what I guess the market did in a sense, where you can look at it this way. This is great support here at 81,400. Held on to it, got the bounce, and just like the market, that's another way to look at it, is had a fake break back below it with a lower low. Got back above and is possibly starting its leading diagonal right there for the 5-wave move up, or this, Bitcoin could move a lot more volatile. Bitcoin could make a new high, and the market make a lower high as well. So I'm looking for this to break out above or break down below. Whatever happens, then you can start jumping into other names. MSTR, I call it Masters MicroStrategies, is a good proxy play on this one. MJ is a beautiful thing. I know that we really haven't gone anywhere, but that is kind of the point of this. I did a full analysis on it, and I'll tag that one up top as well. So I have quite a few videos to tag up top. I'll let you watch those videos for Cannabis. And I believe I'll have, I think in the rest of the videos, I have a description. In the description, the link to Cannabis videos. I'll do that again on this video. Okay, so you have that bullish falling wedge into a much, much larger channel and bullish wedge. And this area is holding very well. Threatened to spike underneath it and is right back into it. I think this move is imminent, you guys. I don't know if you'll catch one of these again in a lifetime, or at least in a few decades, this type of opportunity. Other than, I'm talking about for our market, other than when we have our recession end in the S&P, when that does occur and when it finishes, which I think probably be sideways for a long, long time. And you can see that in the bear market analysis. Okay, thanks for joining us here at OptionsTender. Thank you for all the likes. Good luck trading. We'll talk to you soon.